Draymond, in an overtime game with 23 lead changes, how would you describe the intensity of every possession in a game that was already pressure-packed for the 6th seed?
I think two teams fighting to get in the playoffs. Two veteran teams. We both been in these situations, know what it takes, which led to that intensity, and they got it done. We didn't.
Draymond, you just mentioned the fact that it was intense. You guys are veterans. You know how this goes, but you got one day between now and seeing Memphis here at home. How are you guys feeling in the locker room knowing that you got a quick turnaround like that?
We'll be fine with the quick turnaround. We haven't fared well in these play-in games, so got to make sure we're locked in and ready to go. But as far as it being a quick turnaround, we'll be all right.
Draymond, I was just going to ask you about that, about your history in the play-in games. Do you see any pattern to it? And obviously you are a different team now with Jimmy than you have been before, and he's had great success in the play-in situation. Do you draw on that at all?
We just draw on having Jimmy as a whole. He saw the effort he put out there tonight. That's it. Not necessarily the experience in the play-in or any of that. Just riding our aces. That's it.
Draymond, what are the ways you can sort of offset a rebounding deficit? You guys were minus 17 in rebounding today, and how hard is it to win when you're that far behind rebounding?
It's tough to win. We also didn't get a lot of loose balls, so it's rebounding is one thing, but then some of these loose balls that are just bouncing and we're not getting, the long rebounds, they're loose, we're not getting, so we got to be better at getting loose balls.
Draymond, you referred to this a little bit with Jimmy, but how's the vibe different in a big game like this with him as an asset? It seemed like so much of the game was running through him. How does it feel different with him in this kind of setting, and if going forward, if you do make the playoffs?
It's completely different. You have a guy who can kind of slow the pace of the game down for us, get us into good things. And, just having that extra added weapon, having another number one next to Steph is different, and so definitely makes us a much better team tonight. We didn't capitalize on this great game, but, it makes us a much more complete team, better team.
What are your early thoughts on the Memphis matchup?
Ja's been playing incredible, shooting the ball really well. Jaren's played great all year. Baines come back on after having a tough start to the year with some injuries and different things. He's turned back into the Desmond Bain that signed a $200 million or whatever it is his contract was. The reason he got that contract, battled through a lot of injuries last year, come into the year battling some injuries, and he's found his footing. So, really good ball club. But I think our coach staff have a great game plan. We got to make sure we go execute it.
Hey, heavy minutes for you, for Steph, for Pods, and for Jimmy, 48 minutes. What did you see him pour into those 48 minutes?
Everything. At times when he was tired, he could just continue to push through it, which is who this whole league has grown to know. So, tough one, but we got to bounce back.
When it comes to getting some of those loose balls, do you think fatigue was maybe a factor? You guys have been playing like it's the playoffs for the last.
Hell no. You just got to stick your nose in there and get the loose ball. It ain't got nothing to do with no fatigue. If you was fatigued tonight, should go home and stay at home.
Draymond, how would you assess Steph's play considering he's got a heavy rap on his hand and he poured it all out there too?
He was great. I think guys did a good job of screening for him, getting loosening the defense up on him. They're grabbing him and everywhere he is on the floor. That's not a complaint about the grab, by the way. That's just me explaining to you what he's playing through, and he continued to push. Got the ball in his spots, took advantage of the defense. So yeah, like that. All things considered, he was really good.
Draymond, we know what that week off would have meant for you guys and how much you wanted to avoid the play-in. How much confidence do you have that you guys have the juice and just the legs to make it through a whole playoff run without that week off?
We'll be fine. Playoffs, you playing no back-to-backs or anything like that, so just got to get there. We'll be all right. We're not senior citizens. We're high-level basketball players. If we have to play tomorrow, we'll be all right. You train all year for this. So, yeah, this. No disrespect to the senior citizens, by the way. We love our senior citizens. Just throw that out there. But we ain't there yet. We'll be just fine.
Draymond, did you want the matchup with Kawhi there at the end of regulation and then into overtime? Did you seek that out?
Yeah, I wanted to match up. Yeah, I did.
How good was he playing in there?
He's great. Every time I play against him, I improve because it's such a challenge. He's one of the guys I enjoy playing in this league the most because he's so good. A lot of people don't give him the credit he deserves. Only when it's beneficial do they give him credit. But he's so fucking great, and you have to be dialed in order to try to guard him. And even when you are dialed in, it's still a very hard challenge. So he's one of the guys that, for myself, I enjoy playing against the most in this league. He'd have to be in my top 3 of guys I enjoy playing just because I hate playing against the teams that, star players aren't out there. I like to play against the stars because it just challenges you on a different level. When you watch this league growing up, you loved watching the matchups with Kobe and another great, Shaq against David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Like, those were the matchups. Shaq versus the Pistons, with Ben Wallace. Like, those are matchups I enjoy watching the most. And now, being in this position, those are the matchups that I like playing against the most because they, when you're playing against greats, they just require you to play at a different level. And every time I play against Kawhi, he requires that. And so I'm always excited to play against him. It just challenges you to be better as a basketball player.
Dre, what happened on the 2 late plays, you with the rim and Buddy coming off for that 3-pointer that he didn't get going very well?
I completely smoked the layup, and Buddy missed the shot.
Was it the shot that you wanted, you guys wanted?
Yes. That was the play that was drawn up, and we got the look. He just missed it. GP made a good play in the pocket, and I smoked the layup.
Draymond, I know Taylor Jenkins is not there anymore, but there's still some kind of juice or emotion when these two teams face each other, Memphis and you guys?
I don't think they care if Steve Kerr wasn't here anymore. They still want to beat the hell out of us. So we're fighting for a playoff spot. They are as well. Everybody knows what's on the line. I think the juice will be just fine regardless of who their coach is.
Draymond, people often talk about the downside of a quick turnaround, but are there any positives of playing in 2 days, especially after maybe putting up 119 points against one of the better defensive teams?
Rhythm. It kind of keeps you in the rhythm, the flow that you've grown accustomed to all season. But there's not much positive to us playing on Tuesday, other than we need to go win the game.
Cool, great, thank you.